Hello and welcome to Lyon Leadership. Today's service is on habits. My name is Robert Lyon and I really appreciate that you're here today. So in this episode or service we're basically going to first identify what habits are and go into how much of our lives habits affect. Then we're going to look into the mind and understand more of what happens in our brain when these habits are formed and when we're actually performing these different habits and what happens throughout our lives. Then we're going to go into how we can break bad habits, which is very important, as well as in the end we're also going to talk about how to start new habits that we would definitely like to take on in our lives. Thank you again. Let's dive right in. But habits aren't just our actions. They're also our thoughts, our emotions. They're the way that we feel, and they're basically the places that we feel most comfortable because, like I said again, our brain is all about conserving energy. So whatever phase or whatever you're most common to or most comfortable in, that's where you're basically always going to revert back to the mean of being there. Which means it's for children when they grow up in really chaotic households or in abusive relationships, they're perpetually going to want some more of that chaos probably in their future or have bad relationships in their future because that's where their brain is most chemically wired to want. So it's really good to start looking at your habits and start thinking at a big picture of what your habits are. Do you have negative thoughts that always come back? Maybe that's a habit because your brain has been producing all of these different chemicals that make it so that you're more negative on yourself or more critical on yourself when it's actually just a habit that you formed instead of being the truth. This goes way beyond that too. There's so many things that we do. As a lot of the times our routine, we wake up, we brush our teeth a certain way, we take a shower a certain way, we eat the same food every day, we go to our grocery stores and we buy the same food not because we want it but because it's just a habit. And it's not just our actions, these habits, it's also our lives. And there's so many things that are going on in the back that our habits form too. Like if you're constantly drawn to worrying about things, that's because you've been sending these chemicals to your brain to worry, and now your brain is most comfortable when it's in that place. So you have to battle that. If you have negative thoughts all the time, that is a habit too. Maybe your outlook on the world would be totally different if you just realized that you have a bad habit of negative talk to yourself. And these are certain things that we're going to go into more, but I just want you to start thinking about habits. Think about how crazy they really are in societies, in our home lives, in ourselves, you know. And then also, what are some keystone habits that you can start thinking about now? Like, what is the biggest habit that you could start right now that would make your life that much better? And what is the biggest habit that you wish you could stop right now, and that if you stopped, it would make your life so much better? So now we're going to go into more about breaking bad habits, because a lot of people suffer regularly and they don't know what to do. They let their habits run their lives instead of letting them run their lives. And their habits have formed these neural pathways that have just taken over, and it's not necessarily your fault. All humans are like this, and there's certain things that you need to know that can definitely help you when you're trying to break away from these bad habits. So the first thing is your environment plays a huge role in habits. Here's an example. The other night I was at home, I was watching a movie, just hanging out, and then boom, the power went out all throughout the house. No electricity, it's dark, I'm wandering around with my phone. I call the electric company, because I was pissed off. They tell me, oh, it'll be fixed in a couple hours. I hang up, I get off the couch, I walk into the restroom, and I flip the light switch. Now, I know there's no power in the house, and know that it's dark. I know that I just called the electric company to tell them, hey, what's up, where's my power? And I still walked into that room and I flipped the light switch. That's a habit. And there's so many things like that in our lives that we do unconsciously without even thinking about, because it's just on autopilot. That's what our brain does when we have these habits going on. It goes on autopilot. You can go through the motions, but you're not really mindful. You're not necessarily there. So if you're trying to break a new habit, you really should find a way to get away from as many things that have triggered you in the past. Now we're going to go into some key points about breaking bad habits. So first of all, you got to understand that your environment can really trigger your bad habits. Everything around you, your body has become so used to that just being in the same area or talking to the same people or smelling the same smells can trigger you instantly to want to go back to those bad habits. So they say that if you're trying to break a new habit, they recommend maybe going on vacation or just getting out of the environment that you're in, or clean your whole house and paint it a different color. Do whatever you can to change your environment and really not be able to fully fall back into those habit loops as easily. Alright, and then the next main thing, that was just a small tidbit, but the next principle for breaking bad habits is going to be willpower. You have to understand that you only have a certain amount of willpower each day. Willpower is just like a muscle. You use it and use it and use it, and by the end of the day you're spent and you can't do it anymore. So you have to know that when you're trying to break a bad habit, that you're later in the day you might not have the willpower to say no. So you have to plan ahead, plan a day before, what is going to happen if I'm in a weak phase? What am I going to do? So remember, there's three things that have to do with a habit. There's the trigger, the routine, and then there's the reward. So in the later evening hours of the later day, when you don't have any more willpower and you get triggered, you have to think of something that you're going to do instead of that bad habit. Have a different routine and a different reward. Next thing is understanding your body. When you're breaking these habits, it's going to be hard at first. You're going to probably have moments where you're feeling negative, you have down talk, and your body can even just drag and just feel like a pain. And you have to understand that these are things that are going to happen, but you're fighting through for the better good. You're probably going to be restless, you might not sleep as well, and it's part of the process though. So you have to learn to take those things on instead of using them as an excuse to break your bad habit. So if you wake up in the morning and you tell yourself, and you don't feel good, you're like, oh, I need a cigarette. You have to tell yourself, I don't need a cigarette. I feel like this because I'm quitting smoking and this is important to me. So you have to know ahead of time and plan ahead of time, as your body and your physical self is going to fight and resist your wants and needs. But the best thing for you is to stay strong and understand that you're going to go through these things. Be mindful about what's happening, and use that word, but, I want to eat more food, but I'm working out and I want to be healthy, I'm not going to die young. Things like that, and you got to talk to yourself and keep it going. The next fundamental thing is keystone habits. Now these are the big boulder habits that are messing with your life. So if you have one huge keystone bad habit that you want to break, you have to take a look at it, write it down, dissect it, and figure out what you're going to do to get away and stop this habit from ruining your life. Now I want you to think about the big keystone habit for you in your life, that if you could just stop doing this habit, it would make so much change in your life for the better. Alright, so the keystone habit that you want to break, you have to think about it, feel it, and come to a conclusion that you are going to stop this habit now. And we're going to give you the tools to stop it. So the keystone habit is basically, again, the biggest habit that's holding you back in your life, or the number one thing that you wish you could stop repeating or doing or feeling. So think about that, write it down, and then we're going to work through it while we figure out how to break this bad habit. So the next one is your why. Why do you want to break this habit? What has happened that you don't like about this habit that it has affected your life over and over and over, and you've had enough? Just say, enough of this, I'm going to break it today. And you have to know your why, and you have to write it down. I recommend writing it down before you go to sleep. When you wake up, keep it in your pocket. Think about why you're doing this and why you're battling these habits, because again, it's going to take a while to get through this. Like they say in Habits 101, at the beginning, it's going to be unbearable. Alright? You're not going to like it, you're not going to want to do it, it's going to take a lot of willpower. Then as you progress, it's just going to become uncomfortable. You're still not going to want to do it, but it's going to be a little bit easier. And then after that, you're going to become unstoppable. There's no way that you could start that habit up again because you've made it this far. There's no going back. Okay? So find your why and become 100% committed to breaking this keystone habit. That's the key. You can't go 99%. You got to be 100% committed. all right? And you may think, oh, there's no way I can do that, but I guarantee you there's been someone before you who has stopped the same habit, and there will be someone after you who has done it too. So it is possible, and you can do it. So become 100% committed and know your why, all right? And then when we're breaking a habit, we have to make sure we break it on a daily basis, every day, not doing that habit, okay? Every time you have a reminder or a trigger, you have to come up with a new routine and a new reward for yourself, okay? But you have to make sure that you do this daily. And if you do slip up, because we're only human, make sure that you never do it 2 days in a row when you're trying to break a habit. Because you're trying to not let the electrical impulses go through that brain and make you go on autopilot. So often, when people try and quit smoking, they light up a cigarette without even knowing it because it's so habitual to them. When they stopped smoking inside the bars and restaurants in Europe in 2007, they did a study and they found that 25% of smokers found themselves lighting up still inside the bar even though they knew it was illegal, but it's because it was simply just a habit of action that they were so used to. Okay, so you have to know what you're doing, be 100% committed, be ready to stop that habit, and never miss 2 days. Never do it twice, you know? If you do 1 day, it's fine, but never 2 days. Get back on the horse, start over, and get ready to go. Okay, so again, it's going to be unbearable in the beginning when you're breaking a new habit. It's going to be rough. Your body's going to fight you. You're going to have less willpower. And then, but as you keep going and as you stay strong, because you can do it, other people have done it and you can do it, it's going to just become uncomfortable. All right, and then you're going to become unstoppable. Okay, so that's another part of the key. The next one is, again, get out of your environment. Get away from whatever is constantly triggering you to these bad habits. If your spouse is a smoker and you want to quit smoking, take a break. Get away from that environment, because if they're blowing smoke in your face, it's going to be a lot harder to stop smoking. So get away from your environment. Next is find people or a community of people that are doing the things that you want to be doing, that aren't doing that habit, you know. And then every time you get triggered, maybe you just call up a friend that's, you know, healthy, and you talk to them for a little while so that you can do that for the routine, and a reward is you get dopamine from the social interaction. But find a mentor even, or find other people that can be an example of what you want to be and who you want to be in the future, because going to find and working with other people that are on a similar goal can really empower you, and have been proven to help people break habits faster and stronger. So if you can do that, do that. If you don't have friends, or you don't know where to go for an AA meeting or something like that, just go to the malls or go to places where people are not doing that habit. You know, get away from the environment that's triggering you and go somewhere positive. Go to the gym, you know, find good things to do with your life, but find other people to be around that are not doing that habit as well. Another one is just going to be mindfulness. You have to be mindful. You have to have that inner friend, you know, that consoler, a non-judgmental but discernment, someone that can tell you really the truth about what's going on in your head. And you have to have this mindful person talking to you whenever you get triggered. And you have to be strong within yourself when you're breaking habits, because it's so easy just to be loosey-goosey and go with the crowd or whatever. And it really takes a lot more of a human being to stand up inside themselves and say, no, I'm breaking this habit. I'm not doing this. I'm sorry. I can't go with you or go into the crowd of people that are going to trigger me too much to do these things. And we have to try new things. We can't do the same things over and over and over and expect different results. So we have to be mindful, and we have to have this inner dialogue talking to ourselves, you know. And it's going to be hard too, you know. You're going to want to do that habit, but you have to talk to yourself and be like, I want it, but this feeling I'm feeling right now is just the process of going through, you know. Challenge yourself. See how long you can go without doing it. And it's also good to think about, though, try to distract yourself from thinking about the habit, because just not doing the habit and thinking about it isn't going to work. You know, if I ask you, don't think about white bears, the first thing you think about is white bears, you know, and it's repetitive in your brain. So you don't necessarily just want to be thinking about quitting your bad habit, you want to be doing something else. You want to have a new routine and a new reward that you can replace your bad habit with. So if it's smoking, you really get triggered and you want a cigarette, go talk to somebody inside and get away from the idea, or start chewing on toothpicks or snap yourself with a rubber band. That's not a good one. But find something that you can have a new routine and a new reward. Just start running or just start doing push-ups, and you'll get those endorphins, you'll get those feelings that you want instead of the bad habit that your body wants to give you. So make sure you're mindful and you have the positive self-affirmations also. And then you really have to change your values. You have to come up with what your values are now that you're a person that doesn't do these similar bad habits. What is your true purpose now that you're not doing this? What are you going for? And you have to stand strong in your values, because if you don't have any values, then we're just not who we're supposed to be. Alright, breaking habits is actually pretty difficult. I make it sound easy, but if it was easy, everybody would not have all these bad habits. So we're going to go into a little bit more of the complex ones now, but I'd like to just also add positive thinking. I know it sounds cryptic and it's kind of overused nowadays, but if you can visualize the positive things about stopping your bad habit, and then maybe think about also all the bad things that you're getting rid of from this habit, or that you're getting from doing this habit. You know, people that are trying to quit smoking, think about the positive effects it'll have on your skin and your teeth, and then try and perpetuate that into your life every day. Whenever you're stopping, you're like, oh, I'm going to have such great skin. So you got to think about the positive things that are going to happen to you from breaking these habits, and not just dwell on the negative, oh, I feel like crap, I'm just going to do it anyways. You know, be strong, have a little bit of integrity, and make yourself be the person that you want to be and the person that you're telling yourself you're going to become. So positive thinking, and again, negative thinking is actually a habit. So if you find yourself constantly beating yourself up, you have to start fighting that habit today. And that's important, because you want to be able to see the good things in life, and you want to be able to see all the positive things that you're doing and not just dwell in the depression and the negative, because that's not the truth. You're just making these things up. Real life is great. There's so many things that you can do. I don't care if you're broke, dumb, and stupid. You can still go out in the world and have fun and be happy, alright? So we're still breaking habits, and we're talking about more difficult stuff. So the things that are happening, so now some of the more advanced things for breaking habits. A lot of people, if you just have no self-control, it's okay, but they found that in research is if you just start by having simple self-control on certain things, it'll start to amplify more into your life. So in the study, they had people do real simple exercises, and they just gained a little bit of self-control in performing them every day, and it started to affect other parts of their lives and having more self-control in all aspects. So if there's something that you can have good self-control in, focus that. Take the confidence from that and then implement it into other parts of your lives. Alright? And then also, since we're going in a little bit deeper again, you have to remove yourself from the environment, you have to remove yourself from the people that are causing you these problems, and then you have to take yourself out of those situations that trigger you all the time, so that you can really be in a fresh area, somewhere that doesn't have the ability to make you copy or repeat or go on autopilot that cause those bad habits to affect you. And then you have to find other people that can be a mentor or a family member or a sibling that aren't doing the bad habit that you're trying to break. Because if you hang out with them enough and you break the cycle, you'll have inspiration. You'll see somebody else experiencing a life, so you can start thinking about what your life is going to be like without that bad habit. And that's very important. And then we're also going to talk about WHOOP, I guess that's what it's called, but it's wish, outcome, obstacle, plan. So you have your wish to break this habit, right? And you wish for all the positive things, and you can see the outcome of what you're wishing for by doing these by breaking these habits, by not doing the things that are harming you and doing positive things. Alright, so then you see the obstacles, and you have to be honest with yourself. What are the obstacles? What are the triggers? What are the situations? What's the environment? What are the feelings? Who are the people? What are the conversations that might trigger us? Alright? And then you have to come up with a plan of what you're going to do when these routines happen, when these triggers happen, when you're cued and you really just want it. What are you going to do ahead of time? You can't just do it on the spot. You got to be honest with yourself, and you got to have a plan for something that you're going to do, the if-then scenario. So if you're trying to lose weight or whatever, if I make it to work, I will take the stairs. Then I will take the stairs. If I go to lunch, I then will eat a salad. You know, and then you have a plan. This is a plan that's going to help you do it. And a lot of times, you know what you're going to do in theory. And it's just a good habit to get into, is plan your day ahead of time when you're trying to break these habits. Because again, it's going to be uncomfortable. You're not going to have a lot of willpower. So you're going to want to remove all the choices. You know, if you're trying to eat less junk food, get all of the junk food out of your house. If you're trying to get away from the TV, unplug the TV or throw it out or give it to a neighbor. If you're trying to stop looking at your phone, put it on airplane mode and hide it somewhere. Okay? And then another one is starting your mornings powerfully. So if, say, the habit is you want to stop looking at your phone so much, don't look at your phone for the first hour of the day. Because if you win the morning, then you can win the day. Okay? And that's when you have the most willpower to break your habits. So realize that in the morning, you're definitely not going to do it. And then carry that throughout the day. And just put aside all the bad habits that you're going to deal with, and so on and so forth. The other one that's a big one is you have to document your days. Okay, when you're just starting out trying to break these new habits, figure out what you're actually doing during the day, and especially when you get cued or when you get triggered to have those bad habits. So you can set an alarm on your phone, or you can just be disciplined, but every couple of hours write down what you did for the past couple of hours, and just do it for a couple days, and you'll really start to see, like, what are you wasting your time on. And when you're writing them down, you have to write what you're doing, how you feel, and then what you've been doing for the past little bit. And then also, whenever you get triggered, write it down so that you can start to take a look. Okay, at 3 o'clock every day, I get triggered to want to eat a cookie. And then you can have a plan for the next day. I'll have an apple ready for when that 3 o'clock craving kicks in, so I can be strong and I can eat the apple and I can move on with my life and not think about the cookie. Alright? So those are just some, basic good ideas for when we're trying to break bad habits. Now, breaking habits is hard, but you can do it, okay? And again, it's going to be unbearable at first, then it's going to just be, uncomfortable, and then you're going to become unstoppable, and you're no longer going to have these habits, and you're going to be able to move on with your life and do great things with your life. So it's very good to empower yourself and be positive and keep pushing and stay strong. And if you miss one day, do not miss 2 days. Okay, and start over and keep it going until you have new habits that you can form. Alright, so now we're also going to go into forming new habits. And it's important that you know these, because everybody wants to have new habits, I think. Everybody should be striving to have more habits. If you're a business owner, you should make a habit of working on your business every day. If you're trying to save money, you should make a habit of saving more money every day. You want to have good things coming into your life, and you want to make them into a habit, because if you make them into a habit and you work on them every single day, that's how mountains can be moved. That's how miracles can start to happen in your life. So now we're going to take the next step in creating new habits for your life. Alright, now we're going to talk about forming new habits and how to really make these habits stick. Okay, and a lot of, New Year's resolutions come up. They do a lot of research on them, and they say something like only 20% of people actually follow through with their New Year's resolutions or their fitness goals and things like that. And so we're really going to try and focus on making it stick and coming up with the best plan for you, so you can start these new habits and they can stay solid, and you can start to build on them and have a new life where these habits take you to amazing places and great opportunities and new things, instead of being stuck in the same mundane sort of habit loops that you've been in. So again, when we're starting a new habits, it's good to take your willpower into consideration, okay? They say that we have the most willpower in the morning, and we also have the most flexibility with our days in the AM and the PM, so right before we wake up and right before we go to bed. So if you have a new habit of working out, I would recommend you start doing it right in the morning when you have the most willpower, and no excuses. If you're trying to read a book or something that you're trying to start doing, or not looking at your phone, also do it in the morning or in the afternoon when you have the most flexibility of your schedule, not necessarily in the middle of your day. And when you're planning these things out, you have to plan for your willpower too. All right, you have to know that you might not have as much willpower tomorrow as you think you have right now, so you have to make a plan, okay? And then you have to stick to your plan day by day by day by day, okay? So in science, they say it takes about 20 days for a really simple habit to start. And then it takes up to 200 days. But the typical starting habit is only about 66 days. That's how long it takes to form a new habit, to make something a lot easier for you to do and for you to start doing it every single day. Okay, so when we're starting these new habits, willpower is very important. And then you also, again, have to know your physiological fundamentals, how you're going to feel. When you first start working out, it's awful. You're stressed, your muscles hurt. But then as you keep doing it and you keep pushing through and you keep staying strong, it gets easier and easier, and you start feeling good and you start getting the rewards that you truly want. Okay? And then again, we talked about the keystone of a negative habit that you wanted to start. Now think of a keystone habit, a big one that you want to start right away, or something that you've always wanted to do and you just haven't done it yet. And today we're going to try and get you to get going on that habit. All right, you can start right now. All right, you can turn your life around and start a new habit anytime you want, and you're never going to be as young as you are right now. So it's the best time to do so. So this keystone habit, what is a big habit that would absolutely change your life? You know, that you can start doing today. Is it working out? Is it making more money? You can work on your business every day and make that a habit. Is it watching less television? You know, all sorts of things like that. So the keystone habit. And then you have to find your why. Again, why would this be such a big impact on your life? And then you have to start visualizing all the good things and being mindful about all the great things that doing this habit on a regular basis can bring you. And I know that's a little cryptic again, but when we visualize the success that we're going to be doing and then we take the actions, we start taking steps to having that success, okay? I want you to imagine the success is out there and it's pulling towards you just as much as you're pulling towards it, okay? So when you really visualize and you have these self-affirmations, it's going to help. And it's not just jibber jabber, there's lots of science on this stuff. That if you tell yourself, I'm getting healthier, I'm being strong, and you start implementing these habits, it's going to happen, okay? It's just inevitable. If you just keep doing it and keep strong, you're going to get what you want. And you're going to have these new habits that are going to take you there, okay? And then so you got your why, all right? And then you have to be 100% committed. 100% committed to this new habit. You're going to do this new habit for 66 days. It's not that long. 2 months and your whole life could change from doing this habit and making it a new part of your life, and changing the things that you do and truly becoming the person that you want to become, okay? So you have to make this a daily habit, and you have to plan ahead of time that you're going to do it at every day, at this time, in these colored clothing, at this park, or whatever it is you're trying to do, because you want to also associate all the things that we've already learned, like the environment affects you, the people affect you, so you want to have a familiar environment, and you maybe have if you're just trying to start writing, have a similar coffee shop and a similar chair that you sit in where you can be the most focused to do your writing. Or if you're trying to go to a gym, pick one gym or one area and start going there every single day and play until you start. And you might not feel comfortable at first, but you'll start to feel comfortable and you'll start to be more ingrained in the habits of going to these places and doing the proper things that you want to do. So you have to make it a daily habit, and if you miss one day, never miss 2 days, okay? That's the biggest thing. And if you do miss a day, you probably got to start all over on your 66 days. So make it a strong habit. And there's always going to be that little voice that says, oh, you don't have to do it today, or you don't really want to do it, and you need to knock that out of your life, okay? You need a plan and action, and you need to take that action. Because we can hope and wish for everything, but if we never take action, we're never going to get there. So when we're forming these new habits, make sure you have a plan, all right? And then talk to yourself about what your values are and why this is so important to you. And then you have to start thinking about who you're going to become because of these new habits, and how important it is to your life, and how good your life is going to be. And you have to go over and over and over and keep telling yourself that. You know, tell you, I love myself, I love this new habit that I'm doing, I love that I keep doing it every day. And you have to positively tell yourself what's going on. And then when you're starting these new habits, remember you're going to start the habit with your trigger. You're going to plan these out. You're going to have your trigger that's going to set you off, and you're going to start doing your new habit. You're going to have the routine, and then you're going to have the reward, okay? And you have to make sure you reward yourself, because your body is all about rewards. You know, it's the mouse in the maze trying to get to the cheese. So you're the mouse, and your reward has always got to be there, and if you keep giving it to yourself, then the maze is going to get easier and easier and easier each time that you do it. So you got your routine, you got your trigger, you got your routine, you got your reward for your new habit that you're trying to create, all right? And if the end value of, you know, you're trying to work out, but then at the end you're not getting enough dopamine, eat a little piece of chocolate or give yourself that little bit of up. You have to have a little romance with your new habit, a little love for yourself. You can't make it all strict, otherwise you're going to use all your willpower and you're just going to deplete your resources of what you're really trying to get out of this stuff. And the other thing is, when you're starting a new habit, just starting small, like the simplest thing. Maybe if you're going to start running every day, but you can't do it today, just put your running shoes on and just go outside and walk around, and then go back inside, and then at least separate that chunk of time to beginning and doing a little bit of the new habit that you're trying to do. So many people try and just go, 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 and then they burn themselves out, and they never actually get anywhere with what they're trying to do with their lives, or they're never getting as far as they want to with their new habit that they're trying to create, and they stop and they don't know why, and then they give up. That's not what we're trying. We're trying to make these stick. So 1 minute is better than nothing. As long as you're starting to get in the habit of making these new habits a habit, it's important. That's what is going to make the difference for you. Now remember, when you're starting these new habits, it's going to be unbearable, then it's going to be uncomfortable, and then you're going to become unstoppable. And you're going to learn so much from just challenging yourself. You're going to learn a lot about yourself. You're going to learn a lot about the habits you're doing. And you're going to be able to take yourself to new places and having new adventures. And it's going to become really important for your life and your development if you're trying to become successful or happy or whatever you're trying to do with your lives. Now the thing about creating new habits, and this is an interesting thing about human beings, is say if you're broke and then you suddenly you win the lottery, right? You're going to be so ecstatic at first, but then the happiness is basically going to eventually demeanor, and you're probably going to go back to being depressed even though you have all these new things in your life. So when you're forming new habits, and if you really want to be happy, you have to constantly be doing these habits a little bit different, all right? You got to just give it that little variety. You know, the spice of life is what's really going to keep you going, because something about human beings is we have a hard time staying satisfied for too long. So you have to be mindful while you're going through these processes. As you get further and further into your habit is again going to be on autopilot. So you'll be doing these great things, but you'll be more on autopilot, and they'll be a lot easier for you, and you'll probably be seeing the results, but you have to keep having the spice of life. And once you get to those points, you got to challenge yourself and take you to the next step. If you're not moving forward, you're falling backwards. So you have to keep going with these habits, and you have to stay strong to who you are and who you're trying to become. And as soon as you get to that next hurdle, you have to be prepared for the next hurdle, okay? And it just keeps going, and it's not that hard. You're going to become such an amazing person. You're going to become the best you that you possibly can by always having something that you're striving for, and always having some new habits that you want to start. And it's always going to be hard in the beginning, and then it's going to get easier and easier and easier, and you're going to become unstoppable. This is going to be great for you, and I hope you enjoy my talks. Subscribe and like my episodes. We can discuss more on habits at my website or on my email at lyonleadership@gmail.com. Thank you so much. I love your faces, and I appreciate you so much. Thanks.